Welcome to the HJP Town Hall Part 2. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. As you guys know, today we're specifically really talking about Operation Rising Tide, which I'm so excited about. I've gotten such good feedback from everyone here, from YouTube comments and messages. I think the fact that you are here specifically for this town hall means that you are here for the vision of Operation Rising Tide, which I think says a lot. And one thing that I definitely want to lead with is that I think this is a very self-selecting group. I knew when I put out that replay, it's not going to be like a viral video, but if you sat there and watched, at least the first hour, and now you are here, I think that says a lot. So I want you to just kind of keep that in mind, because I know I feel like this, I always question, why does this matter? Are people, is this resonating? Is it, am I on to something here, or is it just all in my head? You guys are all proof that this means something. So again, thank you. I just want to express my gratitude, and I'm so excited. So since I came up with the idea on Tuesday, we have ironed out a lot of the details and kind of the workflow and the process. And today what we're going to be doing is going over what that's going to look like for the next 6 weeks. And then also the officers are going to speak. And I'm going to turn it over to all of you. If you want to brainstorm, kind of share a discussion, which is why we're in the lobby and not the stage this time. So it's a lot easier for you guys to jump in. But like Avi said, please mute yourselves for the beginning, and then we'll turn it over accordingly. So I am recording this for a replay, and this time I am recording Discord audio, so you guys will be there as well. So just keep that in mind. If you would rather not have your voice be in the recording, that's cool too. We'll also be looking at the text chat, and the officers they can read your comment if you feel more comfortable with that. Okay, cool. Also, we are in game, and I don't want to derail right at the beginning, but oh my gosh, our facelift of our Free Company house looks awesome, and I'm excited to do a tour, but I will save that for after we are done with the agenda. It looks so good though. So thanks, guys. Okay. So first of all, let me go to my keynote here. I just want to do a really quick recap of what ORT is, Operation Rising Tide, in case you were not here, or the first time I introduced it took me a really long time to kind of get through my thoughts, because I was kind of still figuring it out. So the recap is basically that I have been reflecting a lot about what makes the Heather Just Play community different, what really makes it stand out, what makes me continue to come here, what makes all of you continue to come here, and the thing that I boiled it down to is the thing that I'm going to use to describe it is magic. That's the word I'm using, because that's what I think it is. I think it is real world magic. So this is the same slide that I used in the town hall, but basically not one-way interaction. So what that means is, I think for a lot of Discord communities, Twitch communities, YouTube communities, it is the content creator speaking to the audience. But here, all of you guys know, I feel very much a member of the community, just like you. And it's great that I feel like we are all on the same level, and I hope you guys do too. There's no ulterior motive in terms of you're only here for recreation. There isn't some kind of thing that you're trying to get out of this aside from this is fun, right? Simply, this is fun. And there's something that, there's nothing really beyond that keeps you coming back here, which is great. I think we have a lot of successful things with our community that other successful communities have as well, like shared goals, camaraderie, progress, accomplishment, victory. But the magic, the thing that really stands out is first, I call it the sandbox. It's kind of like a playground. It's okay to mess up here. We've had to iron out the kinks. We've had to figure things out. And I'll tell you, in the next 6 weeks, we will, on our voyage, bump into hiccups and hurdles and obstacles. But I have no doubt that we can figure it all out together, because you're all here, right? You're on board for the vision. And so I feel like there's a sense of mutual trust, right? we want to all go to the same destination together. So if the hurdle is like trying to figure out a date and time that works, something as, relatively simple as that, all the way to something, I don't know, something a little more complicated. I don't know. I can't think of something right now, but I want us to take the like Scions of the Seventh Dawn approach of we can figure it out. Okay. Like if we have to get real resourceful, we can figure it out. Empowerment. So this is really the thing that I dialed it down to. And we've seen, even me peeking into the raid group earlier, I see you guys pushing yourselves out of your comfort zone, trying something different, trying something new. And I think this is really the thing that I want to cultivate with Operation Rising Tide. I know that this is not unique to our community, but the fact that I want this to be our focus as we plan events and create opportunities for people to feel this thing. Like, again, on paper, it's going to look exactly the same as other communities, but we know the bigger vision, right? So this is an invitation to all of you who might feel awkward or uncomfortable, or like, I'm not sure if I've never led anything before, or I've never tried this thing in the game. Like, this is the invitation. If you've ever had the smallest itch to try, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. I'm giving you the permission. Everyone else here is on board for that as well. So whatever your thing is that you want to try, like, let's make it happen, right? Sense of adventure, wonder, joy, exploration. We play this Final Fantasy game that is all about that, but I think that what's great about this group is we're all experiencing these kinds of things in real life, right? Like this whole Operation Rising Tide is an adventure. I have no idea I don't know where we're going to end up in 6 weeks, but you're still here. We all still want to see where we go together, which is so freaking cool. And I the whole point of this is kind of embracing that. And then no shooting. So I think what's really cool about this community is that everyone is very helpful. Again, with the raid group, I see you guys shouting out and highlighting and elevating when things go right. I think that's awesome, right? I think that's the best, most positive way to learn. And in terms of how we coordinate these events and what it's going to look like, there's no right or wrong way. Okay, like there is no perfect, there's no right or wrong. Even like me doing this, I'm trying to lead by example in terms of this. I don't know if this might look perfect to you. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. Like seriously, Tom and I were at our Valentine's Day happy hour and we're talking Final Fantasy, we're talking Heather Just Play, we're talking Operation Rising Tide. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I still want to do it, right? I still want to rise to the occasion, and I hope you guys will too. So if you are planning a treasure maps event, a fishing event, a raid or whatever, and I'm sure you will have expectations in your head, especially if you've never done something like this before, people are going to have fun no matter what, right? Like I know we're going to have pressure on ourselves, but people are going to have fun no matter what. So don't worry about whatever perfect version is in your head if it doesn't end up being that way. Like it doesn't, we'll all still have a great experience and we'll make sure that that happens. And then all of this is transferable to in real life personal growth and can have a ripple effect. I think these last two things are the things that like make me want to do this more than anything. Is that I think like especially in 2025, like today, I just feel like the whole world is like so stressful and like filled with bad news and AI and all this stuff, which is like, it's such a breath of fresh air to come here, right? And I think when it comes to personal growth and all these kinds of opportunities for building your self-confidence and trying, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, I think it's so hard to find these. And I want to try to, for the next 6 weeks, cultivate opportunities where we feel glimpses of this, because I truly believe that it does translate to your real life person and in your personal lives. That's kind of the mission and the vision behind Operation Rising Tide. Again, what this ends up looking like is just more Final Fantasy 14 events, more Discord events. But you guys know, since I'm being transparent with you and I'm, you're watching these videos, you're hearing me talk about what the mission is, and you're here, right? So that opt-in, that ownership means that you're all on board. And I just want you guys to keep that in mind as you take risks into something that might feel very unfamiliar, because everyone else is doing it too. Everyone who's here is going to do that as well, including myself. So for the next 6 weeks, starting this Sunday to the end of March, this is what Operation Rising Tide, this is the focus of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be shifting away from a foundation of streamer to audience, which, like, for all of you guys, I don't think that this is a thing that's necessarily a thing, but I am inviting the Heather Just Play community that is on YouTube that's not on Discord. So just keep that in mind, because I think the streamer to audience thing is more prevalent there. But I really want, yes, I'm the captain. Yes, I'm kind of, providing the vision, but I want to make sure that it's us. It's together. It's, I'm going to your events. I'll be going to your events just like any other member. And the vision, if I were to boil it down to one sentence, is creating more opportunities for more magic for more people. So that is the, opportunities for empowerment, pushing yourselves out of your comfort zone, trying something different, being able to bring something to life, or like bring an idea that you had in your head into something that other people can experience. That is so magical. That's like so rare. And that's what I want to focus on for the next 6 weeks. So I know I kind of went over that quickly, but if you want the full thing, you can watch the 2-hour replay of our town hall from Tuesday. On paper, this looks like more Discord events. And that's it. So for the rest of this town hall, I'm going to turn it over to our officers who are going to walk you through how we will have these events and how you can lead events and participate and sign up, because it's just like from here on out, it's logistics. So before I do that, does anyone have any questions, like in terms of what the goal is for Operation Rising Tide? Oh shoot, we're all in the mess hall. Sorry, let me move my character over in there. Oh, it looks so good. No one has questions. We're good. Okay. So let me turn it over to, oh, here you guys are. Oh my gosh, look it. Oh, sorry, the podium. Okay, great. So let me turn it over to Avi, who is going to walk you through how events are going to go from ideas to events.
I'm sorry, Heather. Sorry to cut you first before, but hi, I'm Kay, your Gremlin officer. I just want to let you know first, uh, before we walk through all these events thing in here, I want to all of you guys to speak you guys' mind. I know it's gonna be scared a little bit, and don't be shy. Sometimes I can see like people are just like talking over behind this discussion in here. So it'll be great if everybody just like getting involved to everybody, so people can have like their speak their mind. Okay, that's all for now. I can just like say a piece right now. Okay, all to you now, Heather and Afi.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, wait, did I mute myself? You guys don't hear me, right? Yeah. So
I
to
can hear you.
piggyback off of what Kayan said, the sentiment I believe is if you have a thought, like, don't talk yourself out of saying it, right? Like, everyone here is trying, right? So I know it's hard to speak up, and there's a difference though if you're uncomfortable, right? Like, if you would rather go text chat, that's cool too. But the point is that I think what's going to be special about the next 6 weeks is like everyone's voice is equal. I want to know, we want to know what you all think. I think that will make it better, right? So, yeah. Okay, let me switch my screen to Discord so I can make sure to record Avi's walkthrough. Avi, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hello, everybody.
Give me 1 second. Browser. Here we go.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically show you guys the system that we've come up with the officers and Heather and myself and everybody to try to facilitate this. So I want to state from the beginning that this whole idea is about being freeform, spontaneous, letting people be creative with how they do things. So this is not a prescription in the sense that like this is the only way you can do things. This is just kind of like a structure and a guideline that can kind of help people, make sense of what we got. Because I know in the initial stream it was like a big idea, and now we've kind of refined it a little bit to like, what do we want this idea to look like? So I'm going to try to share my screen here. Can people see my thing?
I can see it, but it's not full screen.
Yeah, it's just my phone, so
Oh,
it's
there we
going to be
go.
like a
There we go.
vertical. Okay, cool. Heather's got it too. So if you can't see it on mine, you can see it on hers. This is just my phone, so ignore my long list of Discord channels I don't use. So we have multiple different things. This Operation Rising Tide channel here. The first one is the pinned posts. That both links, Heather has linked the YouTube stream, and then I'm sure this town hall will be in there as well. And then just kind of a description, a write up. If you want to refer to this for just like you have frequently asked questions, this is kind of where they go. This is the pin post. And then we've kind of split it up into a couple different things. The Rising Tide forum is going to be where the event posts themselves are created. So everything kind of starts here at this idea bucket. So this is a post that, sorry if I'm like scrolling fast for you guys. This is a post that Heather made. And this is the brainstorming phase, right? So if you just have like an idea or even just a general kind of concept for what you want to see, this is where you put it. So, for example, an idea like Boja is not a fully formed idea yet. It's just like this is a thing in the game that we can do together, and I want to see it happen. By posting something here, that doesn't mean you're volunteering to run it. It doesn't mean that you know everything about it. It doesn't mean you're an expert, a subject matter expert in the field of Boja. You know what I mean? So, this is the perfect place, even if it's things that you don't have any intention of being able to run, just something you would want to see happen, just post it here. This is where the ideas go. And we have a lot of good ideas here already. I see people have started using this channel. Once an idea is kind of formed, or if you see somebody else has posted an idea and you're like, you know what, I want to take point on that, that's when you take it out and you can make your own thread here. So everybody should have the option in this forum to create one of these threads. It shouldn't be limited to just us officers. We'll verify that later. But for example, Tin took the initiative here. They've made this role-playing one-on-one event. Fevra has been working with them. This is already like undergoing planning stages and everything. It's like it's happening. So this is a fully formed idea that has its own thread. But maybe something isn't fully formed. For example, Kay made this one about Blue Mage. I'm sure that he wants to run Blue Mage. There's some ideas, but we're still discussing it. He's going to be the leader. Some other people suggested that they could be co-leaders with him. We haven't finalized the date and time. You know, this is still part of the brainstorming process, but we've narrowed it down to we're doing something with Blue Mage. So to reiterate, Idea Bucket is this is just an idea that we have. We haven't finalized anything. Nobody's picked it up. Nobody's chosen to be the leader. We're just throwing things out there, whether you want to lead it or you want somebody else to lead it. Once you've decided that you want to do it, thank you, Casual, appreciate it. So Casual was able to make a thread here. So you guys all have permissions. Role-playing one-on-one, this is a more fully formed idea, but if you have suggestions, if you want to help out, if you want to participate, this is where you'll post about this particular event. So this is when it's moved from an idea to this is like a in the planning stages event. And then now that the role playing event has been finalized and they've decided what they want to do with it, that's when it gets added to our Google Calendar. So we have this thing here, this Rising Tide events. This I believe is just like a bot spam channel, so you guys may or may not actually see this. But this is what's going on behind the scenes. We have a Google Calendar, which I will show you here. And you can actually link this to your own Google Calendar if you like it to be updated. But whoops, I don't know how to get rid of that. But basically, we have the event on here, 8 p.m. role playing. I can click on that. There we go. So that's the information for it. It's at 8 p.m. tomorrow, and this is my time because I've synced it to my calendar. The one that's posted publicly will be in Pacific because that's Heather's time, but once you get it synced to your Google Calendar, it should be in your local time. So that'll make it a lot easier for you to figure out what events you can go to. The Google Calendar here, we are not having anybody like RSVP for events or anything using this. We're just having this is basically the schedule of events. This is what's like going on. So if you're just wondering like, hey, what can I sign up for next week? What's happening? This is going to be the place to look. And you're going to have people who just kind of bring up this and find out like, I'm free on Tuesday night. Let's see if anything's going on. That's the time. You can see we already have the Sprout the Legend events in here. I do want to make a point about scheduling. I don't think it matters a ton. Whoops, sorry. I don't think it matters a ton for right now while we're just in the planning stages, but try to be cognizant of each other when you're planning events. If something's already on a Saturday night, then try not to put other things on that Saturday night. For instance, I know that there's going to be a ton of events, so it's hard for everybody to find a space to carve out. But um, so basically, I just wanted to point out that that's kind of the general flow. An idea will start here in the idea bucket. You or somebody else can pick it up, take it out, and then make your own thing. Cool. So Casual wants to run Mount Farms. Great. That's awesome. He's already pulled out a thing. He can start planning it. Anyone who wants to talk about any of these events can put their feedback in here. Even if events have leaders, that doesn't mean it's not a democratic process. So share your feedback. If I say like, hey, I want Mount Farms for Shadowbringers mounts, this is the place to do that. If I say, hey, I would like to do some of the Endwalker ones that are not like trivial to unsync, we should do that on a different day so we can actually learn the fights. That all that feedback can go in one chat channel here. And then we also have just the general Rising Tide chat, and this is just talk about anything that's on your mind about the project in general or ideas that you have. And this would also be a great place to discuss planning with other people. So if you have an event that conflicts with another or an event that could help out another, it's like, hey, we're going to work on crafting. If you guys need anything for the housing project, let us know. We can get people's crafters up to work on that. It's interconnectedness is a pretty big thing. We'll get back to that later. But I just wanted to show you guys the system that we have and try to lay it out in a way that kind of like makes a little bit of sense. So flowchart, once again, is from the earliest idea gets formed in the idea bucket. Anyone can throw an idea in. It doesn't have to get picked up. You don't have to be the one to pick it up. You can just suggest any idea you want to see an event for. Once somebody decides that they want to take charge of an event or start forming it, they pull it out and they form one of these things. And then these forum posts are where all the discussion related to that topic will happen. And when that is finally finalized and you've decided on a day, he's suggesting Monday at 5 p.m. That's awesome. Once you've decided on a day, that's when you contact one of us officers and we'll get it added to the Google Calendar. So once you've had some finalization, we have access to the calendar. We'll post it on there. Everybody can see it. And then we will be using the regular events bot that's already in the Discord that we use for like Heather's streams and stuff like that. I don't know where I have that here.
It's under events, under
cool.
the general category. There you go. Yeah.
Sweet. So most of you have already used something like this before. I think if you've participated in any of the stuff we did, like the maps events. Excuse me. Sorry. Basically, the upside of this is that it gives you pings when the event's about to start, and you can also RSVP for specific roles. So if it's something that we're gonna do in extreme or whatever, then you need 2 tanks, 2 healers, 4 DPS. So you can sign up as your role. You can also have a tentative spot. We can have like wait lists. So this is just a much more fully featured way to share the events. So this is where they're going to go when it's like, this is happening, this is when it's happening, and this is how you RSVP to things. But the Google Calendar is going to be basically just like a schedule of events. You'll be able to see what's happening each day of the week and then RSVP for them in the Discord. All right, I think that is enough for the overview right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. If anybody has any questions, you can speak up during the town hall, of course, but also I'm happy to one-on-one talk to any of you about this because, I know having a system in place is already going to have people questioning how the system works. So don't hesitate to talk to me or any of the other officers. We're happy to lead you through it. And again, this is all pretty free form. So if your idea starts getting formed in the idea bucket and you start finalizing days and times, nobody's going to slap you for that, because you didn't make a thread first. It's not anything like that, but it's just a good way for us to see what stage of development an idea is and then kind of follow it from there.
I just want to add to that. I should be sharing my Discord screen now. Can you guys see this?
You are.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't see it on your list, obviously, so I'm going to double check it, but I did create this new Rising Tide journal. So this is after the events are done. This is basically going to be our unending journey journal, right? So here, once an event is done, we will create a post for that event where we could do reflections, share screenshots, shout people out, just share about it, right? And this goes back to what I was saying during the first town hall is I think when we preserve the memories, when we capture the memories and we preserve it, when you recall it, you feel the same things that you felt. You feel the same excitement, you feel the same happiness, the same sense of accomplishment, but you also are able to share that with other people who weren't there, right? So I think that being able to do reflections and capture memories really does give more meaning to the experiences. So you can think of this as kind of like a yearbook. You could think of this as a log, whatever it is, but I created one here as an example. So this is before our adventure begins. If you'd like to share, I don't know how you feel about this whole project. And then I think it'd be really fun to look back on all of this in 6 weeks, right? At the end of this, my prompt here is just like, I'd like to invite you to share any thoughts you might have. But here's an example entry of things that you can kind of share and reflect on if you need prompts, right? So like, what tale will you be telling the crew about this adventure? What was the most memorable moment? Did anything unexpected or funny happen? Did this experience change the way you play or think about Final Fantasy XIV? If this event weren't an official in-game duty or raid, what would the description say? What would the achievement title be in-game? You can get real creative with it, whatever, or you can just share screenshots. We will be talking about this after, but I would love to have some historians to kind of help coordinate and make sure that reflection is being captured for each event, because I think this is just a huge part of the project. But so Avi went over like how an idea becomes an idea, how it becomes an official event, how it gets into the calendar, how you guys RSVP for those events. And then this is kind of the last part of how do we document the events that are happening. Cool?
Yeah, and just to follow up on that a little bit, the idea that I had, and again, this can be, a bit more freeform, but the idea that I had was that each event would have its own thread in that journal forum. And then basically it would be sort of a digital scrapbook. So anybody who is a part of that event, or even people who just watched or, caught a stream or something, anybody can post whatever they want in there. So, for example, our Sprout to Ultimate thing has already started. I would consider that like the kind of proto Rising Tide event, I guess.
I was gonna say, yeah, I wanted to kind of tack on to your as kind of an example, just say this is precisely what Heather's been talking about. That Marky took this event that he had this idea for months ago and just kind of threw it out there and see if anybody wanted to pick it up and take it on. And we have 2 full groups now going to try this out, to try to learn these hard fights and get in on it. So this is, just wanted to highlight that. Unfortunately, he's not here to kind of give him the thumbs up, but this was awesome. This was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. We really owe a lot to Marky Mark, and that's kind of the impetus of the whole project. In my mind, at least, is like more stuff like that. This is just a normal member. Marky is not like an officer or anything yet, and it's like he just wanted to do something cool and coordinated it and organized it and talked to all of us and got people in the right mindset. And throughout the whole thing, he's been values first and like respect the individual, and like it literally could not have been a better example for what we want to see. than what we already have. So if you need any tips for how this kind of thing can go, he's the person to ask. Um, but yeah, back to the journal. I just wanted to point out that like my idea is that each event that we have has its own thread, and then as that event goes, even if it's like a weekly event over 6 weeks or whatever, people just post all their stuff in that one thread. And the advantage of that is that when our historians come back, they now have a very neatly organized journal entry, basically with everybody's thoughts, feelings, screenshots, any sort of like in-game captures, like if you're watching the raid and you clip it, or like part of a stream, anything that you can put in that thread is relevant to the event, and it's a memory that's worth capturing and keeping. So, and then this will be perfect because if somebody wants to come back and they're making a blog or an Instagram post or whatever about that event, all the media that they need is neatly packaged in that thread by us for them. Anyone who wants to take pictures is more than welcome to. Anyone who wants to type, more than welcome to. So it's a democratic collection of stuff, and then the historians at the end will kind of curate as they need to. So
Cool. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. So, Kayan, are you still here? Did you want to do your part of the agenda?
Hi. I would love to, but right now I'm dealing with a text about what happened on my work right now, so I'm kind of a bit busy in here. Just I'm still listening, but I'll be
Okay,
waiting.
no worries. No
Okay,
worries.
yeah, no problem.
Well, officers, since do any of you want to talk about it? I can jump in, but okay, here, I'll kick it off, and then if you guys want to jump in.
I know he had like a whole split, so I don't want to interrupt his thing.
Okay, I'll kick it off, and then you guys can add. But basically, what we wanted to do was really encourage everybody that if you consider yourself introverted or shy or quiet, or this is very different for you, you are not the only one who feels that way. Now, if you, again, there's the comfort level, right? There's a difference between pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and there's a line that you don't want to cross. No one here is expecting you to force you to cross a line. Like, you have to be willing, right? And if you are willing, then we're here to support you. But if you have any hesitation of like, oh, I don't think so, or I'm scared or shy or quiet or whatever, like, this is the time, this is the chance. We're all here to support. And I know Kay wanted to kind of talk about this point because he had a personal experience where he had never led something before, and then got to lead our first Treasure Maps event, which went fantastically, and we had 2 groups running, and it was quite the venture to coordinate, but really got a lot out of that experience. And so that kind of experience, that kind of transformational moment is all available to all of you. And this is the kind of the time to do it, right? So if any of you want to chime in on that, feel free.
I just think that it's important to note that you don't have to be an expert in something to choose to be, take charge of leading it. So if you're learning along with everybody else, that's also an extremely valuable experience to share. For example, in this like Sprout to Legend thing, I've kind of become like the raid leader of our group, and I don't know any of these fights, and I'm not like a savage raider, and I don't have a ton of experience, but I'm learning alongside you guys, and I value that a lot because it really feels like we're working together and achieving a goal and refining our processes and just getting better at communicating, and like that type of thing is awesome. And if we waited until somebody who really knew all the fights came along, it would not be nearly as cool, at least in my opinion, because what's the point of having somebody who already knows everything just like teach it to you in an afternoon and run you through them, So I think the fact that we're on the same page as far as experience goes is a benefit, not a
Yes.
detriment. And
Yes.
likewise, with any sort of event you can imagine, if you want to take charge on running Boja or whatever, and you've just barely unlocked Boja, that's totally fine. You can learn along with everybody else. You can do some research outside, on how it works. You can have somebody else who's more experienced mentor you. Uh, you know, we can all work through and level stuff together. Like there's any number of ways these events can go down, and they're all totally valid. So if something interests you and you think that you could take lead on it, don't talk yourself out of it by saying I don't know enough. Don't talk yourself out of it by saying I'm not good enough. We literally are making this whole project for that type of person who is not inclined to take the lead, not inclined to put themselves forward. This is the safest possible place for you to try that out. So if it sounds interesting to you, I really, really encourage you to do it.
Sweet. Thank you, Abby. So the next thing on the agenda actually was you talking about interconnectedness. Do you want to just jump right into that?
Can I
Yeah.
say something real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, on the topic we just talked about, if anybody wants to help me co-lead fishing, I would be really, really grateful because I like fishing and I am semi-experienced with it, but I'm not all the way there yet, and I could use somebody to help fill in the gaps in my knowledge. So if anybody
Perfect.
here wants something where they've got somebody who's got some background, but maybe isn't like uber pro numero uno, I'm looking for help.
No,
I was
exactly. That's
actually going to
exactly
say.
what we want.
I
Sorry,
was
who's that?
actually going to say regarding what Avita was just saying, and now regarding this, I was actually going to say that yeah, if you have interest in an event for something that you have been meaning to do but you are not an expert in, pitching the event just like that. You're interested in fishing, but you don't know everything about it. That can be a really good way of finding someone who might have the content knowledge to supplement your willingness to like do scheduling and get people motivated. I guarantee there's people who know a lot about a part of the game who aren't going to be like, I want to run an entire event about it all by myself. So, absolutely. Great. So glad you mentioned that.
And this ties into one of Heather's points from the first town hall, which is she wanted the events to be run by two people, and that has a lot of benefits in a case like this. Exactly like you said, you can have one person who's more knowledgeable about the content itself, and another person who's more event planning, oriented. You can have two people who are both like, we're learning this together, and you guys can come along for the ride. You can have two people who are both experts, and they're willing to run two different groups. Like cooperation is key, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. So Arcana, it's good for you that you spoke up, because you can make that phishing thread, and people will chime in, and I guarantee you, a lot of people, myself included, will be like, "Yeah, I want to learn how to do this," and that's how you can find a co-leader. That's how you can find interested parties. That's the dream. So cool.
Already on the fishing thread. It's already there waiting for anybody who wants to join me to join up. I'm thinking maybe fishing Fridays, but I don't
Ooh, I
know.
love.
Oh, I love that.
Alliteration
So
always has value.
what we will do
Literally
once
the
we
only reason I
are
picked Mondays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
not
Mondays.
Mondays. What we will do after we get through the agenda is we'll have dedicated time to brainstorm. Okay, so if you like Arcana talking about fishing, like we will turn it all over to you if you guys want to use this time to discuss like what about this, find someone to connect with, cool. So that's we will make time for that. Let's see.
I
Do you
think
want to
I
talk
was
about
next on the agenda. I
yeah.
know I've been like talking a lot already, but uh, one of the points that we wanted to talk about, in addition to people working together in pairs for like an individual event, work with the people who are making other events too. because so much of this game and the community is interconnected, and we value that a lot. So one of the examples that I used was if somebody wants to run a Boja event, well, there's prerequisites in the game to unlock it. And as I found out myself earlier this year, it's kind of a lot. You have to do all the Stormblood Alliance raids. You have to finish like all these like related quest lines to actually get to the point where you can go in and do Boja stuff, right? Well, if there's a different uh, channel or sorry thread where people are talking about doing the Ivalice raids, that's a perfect opportunity for you guys to collaborate. And it's like, well, let's get people, get the content unlocked with them in the first part, and then we'll schedule our Boja stuff after so that the more people can join. That kind of thing. Any opportunities you guys see for collaboration, we're 100% for it because nothing is really an island in this game. Like, people say, like, oh, I'm just a fisher. But in order to be a fisher, you have to unlock so much stuff. You have to have crafted gear. You have to be every place in the game. You have to have done the MSQ, etc. So, nothing is an island. No one bit of content is super isolated. So anything you can do to help people, or like the mount farms, that's a very good example too. Some people need to unlock these fights, the ones that are optional, like the trial series or whatever. So getting people the trials unlocked in the first place and then doing the mount farms lines up. It makes sense. So yeah, work with each other. Try to be cognizant of what else is going on, even if you're not participating in it, just so that you can be aware. We would appreciate that.
So 3 things I wanted to address that I feel like are concerns. I just get the impression that these are concerns. So the first is say there are 9 people. I would rather have more people than less people. Okay, so say we are doing, I don't know, roulettes, and 9 people want to run it. Then we will break up into a group of 5 and a group of 4 rather than have one person be excluded. Even if that means we're doing the 4-mans, then break up into 3 groups of 3, right? Like, don't let the cap prevent you from joining in. I feel like this is a thing that's come up a lot. I know the fear of taking somebody's spot is a reason why many of you have not like jumped in, because you'd rather have other people rotate in, kind of thing. But let's just run multiple groups, right? Let's do multiple events. Let's just be more involved. If it's one thing if you don't obviously want to participate or do roulettes or whatever it is, but I'd rather have all the people who are willing to be a part of it be a part of it. The other thing is, I think I also get the impression that people are scared to say they want to be a part, or say they need, like, say someone needs to still clear Omega or something. I get the impression that you're scared to ask, right? Whether it's going to LFG or asking Kraken's Call in the game or whatever. For the next 6 weeks, if you need somebody to reach out to because it's too intimidating to jump into the LFG channel, then reach out to either me or one of the officers. Like, we don't know what you need to do unless you say something, kind of thing, right? And I hope that we can use the next 6 weeks as an opportunity for you to kind of vocalize, because I know people will be down to help. I know it. And then the last thing is, do you have to be a Kraken's Call member to participate in all these things? And I just want to make that very clear. You don't have to be in Kraken's Call. You don't even have to be in the Discord. All of you here are obviously here, but I'm going to put the replay out on YouTube. And this is also why I mentioned that it doesn't necessarily even have to be during prime time Final Fantasy playing time, because we are a global community. I mean, there are several countries here, which is kind of crazy. So I know we want to, for some things, like some events that we do, like the raids, we need to really coordinate playing time. But for other things, I think it's worth exploring, at least in the threads. Hey, I'm going to try a morning event. Morning as in, Heather's Pacific time morning or something like that, whatever, right? Because I think a lot of us have flexible schedules, and I think we would be providing opportunities to people in different time zones. That sound good? Make sense? Okay, so let me cover one last thing. So Avi kind of touched on it. It's the historians. If you have any interest in being a historian or a documentarian in terms of making sure that we are capturing an aspect of every event that is happening, that doesn't mean that you have to go to every single event. It just means that you need to touch base with the people that were there. We're making sure that the Rising Tide journal channel is being filled out. I really think that sharing all of this magic is part of the whole experience. So if you want to help out with that, if maybe it's, if it's too much for one or two people to do, I'm open to doing a historian committee. But I feel like we need to have people in charge to make sure that that is happening. So if you are interested in that, let me know, send me or the officers a message, and we'll figure it out. We have so many options on how to capture this. I just made the journal channel forum. We also have the krakenscall.com website, which can be turned into a blog. We can put up all the screenshots that we take over there. I created an Instagram for Kraken's Call. Not necessarily that we have to use it, but we have so many options. We can do another community highlights board for every week or something like that. I'm open. But if you are, if you're I'd rather do something that's more less event centric and more operational or logistics, I guess, then feel free to send me a message and we can figure that out. So I think that's it. Officers, how are we doing? Do you have anything? Did we cover everything?
No, but it's okay. I'll just be forgotten.
Tin, what was your thing? Tin! Oh, you were supposed to go. Sorry, you were number 2. Tin, it's your turn.
Yeah, it's okay. I didn't want to. No, it's fine.
The stage is yours.
Well, I think you're gonna regret saying that last bit. So, see, let's play. That's not. So, hi. For those who don't know my voice, I am my ruler and Raylan Moore now. For everyone else, this is just a reminder that your taxes are due by Friday. Next Friday, so you guys got a week. Secondly, I got this to be just a couple weeks since Heather completely glossed right over my part in this whole thing. She specifically asked me to do this, and I just totally threw it under the bus and forgot I was even alive. I guess I get to talk about flexibility and being open with your time frames when it comes to these events. It's no. Heather kind of touched really briefly about prime time. Final Fantasy playing, and we all know that that's from Friday to Sunday. Between 5 o'clock Central to 11 o'clock Central. And that's when most of us are online playing. So you are going to see those time slots fill up rather fast. In fact, a lot of them already have. That doesn't mean that overlap doesn't happen. It's just that we want to try to avoid it when possible. See, what was that? We know you guys have lunch, and you want to go out and touch grass on occasion. Except Kitty, I don't even think he has grass where he lives. Garbage cans don't have grass, they have trash. Anyways, I'm losing that place all over the place. Certainly there is not enough time in the day for all of us to do everything that we want to. One of the big things, kind of as an example from my behalf, is the role-playing event that I'll be running this Saturday. That looked right into the, around my born mind raids that Marky was running. And so at first I was racking my brain, giving myself multiple cases of blunt force trauma to the head, trying to figure out how to make this all work. And Holly was like, well, why don't we just ask Marky if he's okay switching it to every other week? And bing bang boom. Marty was more than okay with it, and that's how it's gonna work. We're gonna have the role play on Saturdays. On this Saturday, and next Saturday is gonna be the night event. So this way, everybody gets to have a piece of the cake, essentially. Um, when it comes to creating events, and you have a time frame that you want to do it on, but you see it as taken up on, I just wanted to kind of like to put an analogy to it. We want to make sure that we've got a delicious Rollenberry cheesesteak in front of us, and instead of being able to go out and just buy a second one, we would rather slice up this cake a little thinner so that everybody can have the piece of the same cake together. I'll see what it says. I'm done.
Thanks, Tin. I'm sorry I glossed over you. You were number 2, and I scrolled too
No,
fast.
it's okay. I'll forgive you in about 6 to 8 years.
So in this case, you can actually blame Kayan because him not being here for slot 1 just ruined the whole order. So
See?
yeah, this is a direct incident.
Oh, it is his fault. Finally. Yes.
Okay.
My day has come.
To go off of what Tin said, I did mention try not to overlap events. This is the exclusion to this is the Sprout to Ultimate Legend events because those are 4 raid nights a week for the foreseeable future. I know everyone who is in those groups would like to participate in the events. So of course we will try to, like Tin said, be flexible. But it is also just during prime time, right? So I think like it would be an awesome problem to have if there are too many events. And so I feel like we can cross that bridge when we get there. I know you guys are all here and you're all into it, but until I see events actually get fleshed out, it's still like, I know I want to do this, but do they want to do it, right? So again, if we get to the point where it's like, wow, there's so many events, awesome. But the other thing to keep in mind is that events don't have to be Final Fantasy 14. We are definitely open to that, right? Like I called them icebreakers in the first town hall, but it's like if you want to do a D&D night, I've never played it. There's actually a local game store here that recently did a D&D intro night, and I messaged Tin and I was like, oh my god, if you were teaching this, I would totally go to this. And I know a couple of you guys are all about D&D. If you want to do a like D&D 101 or whatever it is, awesome. If you want to do, I should just pull up the idea list, but if you want to talk about TV shows that are on, anime, video games that we're playing that aren't Final Fantasy 14, like it doesn't have to just be, it could also just be like coffee nights, right? Like if you just do, I don't know, game nights, we can play. There's a lot of Discord games and stuff. It doesn't just have to be Final Fantasy 14. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Cool. I think that's it. Does anyone, officers, are we good in terms of the agenda? Because if we are, then I can pass it off to questions.
I think it's a good time for
I don't
questions.
think he's forgot anybody else.
Cool. Okay. So let's turn it to all of you. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Like, let's do questions first, and then we'll turn it over to brainstorm, where we could just talk about like, oh, this would be cool, or is anyone interested in this? Let's do questions first, like logistical questions, anything like that. Feedback, even.
I
So we're good?
just have something to say real quick.
Oh yeah.
On the Blue Mage event, we'll need to get together to do some initial planning to like figure out when we're going to do that, because with the raids and now fishing, time slots are diminishing.
Yeah,
I
so
was planning to do Monday or Thursday.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about, I guess. Like it's a good problem to have if it's like, man, there's so much stuff going on, right?
exactly.
So Yeah, we can be flexible. We can, if there's only certain times you can log in, just talk to the people who have that spot already and just be like, hey, can you nudge it a little bit? Or, just do it on a non-peak time. That's fine too. We have a lot of people on all different time zones. There's nothing wrong with scheduling something at like 4 p.m. on a Thursday. If you're available to do it, then somebody will show up, probably me. So,
Yeah, Monday
Hey, me
works
too.
for me.
Yeah. Um. Shoot, I lost my thought. What was I?
Sorry, I stole your thought.
Well, so I think my thought was each thread, right, will have its own discussion. Okay, here I remember it. Woo. Okay. I think that we are gonna try to not overlap events. If we overlap events, we overlap events. The thing to keep in mind is that by providing a variety of events. Okay, so here's an example. Tom is probably in the foreseeable future never going to sign up for the raid thing. Just not his thing. 100% will sign up for the role play or the fishing, right? So even if events do overlap or whatever, if we have to do that, I do think that by providing a variety of events, like people will pick the one that they want to go to, and there should be enough people to go to all the things. And I feel like these are the logistical things that we can talk about in the threads. But I do think that there are people like that just have interest with these things and totally not interested over here, and that's fine. So I'd rather. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, especially, you were talking about the extreme events, or the Sprout Ultimate Legend or whatever. Uh, Unless we have 8 more people that would be interested, then we're kind of locked in with our groups that we have. So if anybody else wants to do something, we can still plan events on those days for other people to do stuff. It doesn't
Exactly.
have to be locked to just our event on those days.
Yeah. So exactly. So there's an event happening, but it's like only those 8 people can go. So if we have another event, now we're opening it up to all of Heather Just Play again, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. So I say don't overlap events as kind of a general rule, knowing that we haven't done anything yet, right? And again, if we cross the bridge of like, wow, there's so many events, cool. Like, what an awesome problem to have. But talk it out in the threads, get enough of a consensus so that, because another thing is like, I want you to be able to gauge interest. I'm going to be obviously very active and part of all of these conversations, but what I don't want to happen is like you guys put in a lot of work and then like nobody goes, right? I know that's a fear that probably everybody has. We will make sure that doesn't happen, right? Like if that means that we have to shift events, whatever, or, like Tin said, being open and flexible, like that also, I am thinking about that as well, I guess is my point.
well, yeah, another part of that I think is if you discuss and you sort of form like a customer base, quote unquote, in the thread and you talk it out, then you guys can come to a consensus on a date. So instead of starting with a date and being like, I'm running this, at this time,
Right.
uh, it might be better to first gauge interest, talk to everybody, see what days they're free, and then plant your flag. So it doesn't have to always be like I'm putting up a flyer that says 8 p.m. come to my house, we're playing D&D. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be like I'm interested in playing D&D. Then when you find 4 other people, then you guys agree on a date. Does that make a little more sense? It's the order of operations can be switched around.
And maybe as a thing to keep in mind is like before we schedule weekly things, right? Like fishing Fridays, before we take over all the Fridays with just the fishing event for the next 6 weeks, maybe plan 1 or 2. And then that way that time slot is available for a different type of event for now, like to start. But again, like I don't know. I hope
That's
there's going to be
another
a bunch
thing.
of events, but what's up?
Yeah, another thing we forgot to mention was the nature of how an event exists can be whatever you please, right? So it doesn't have to be a weekly thing. If it's a one time, we're just going to knock this out. Like I see people in the chat are talking about Eden raids. That's like a really good example. That can just be one night. It's like,
Yeah.
this is this specific Thursday in March. We're going to do Eden tonight and knock it out. That doesn't have to be like a recurring weekly thing, but some other things might benefit from being a recurring weekly event. Some of them might be like over a course of time rather than a specific dedicated event. It's like, how about over the next 3 weeks we all draw and share our art, or like a book club
Yeah,
or
like
something where
the
it's like flexible with the
the
time.
roleplay
Yeah,
event. The roleplay event is every 2 weeks instead of every week
yeah. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of,
because we
in
don't
fact,
need that kind of time.
you have infinite freedom with how the events are created, how they're planned and scheduled. That's like a really big value of this whole thing is do it however you envision doing it. So I encourage people to just talk to their uh, whoever's interested, right? So if you put up the thread, you get 5 people responding. Talk to those 5 people and figure out what times work for them and what the event is going to look like. Like that's what the threads are for, is to solidify the ideas.
Yeah,
And
and
with
the other
regard
thing going
to,
back
go
to
ahead,
like
please.
the sorry, Casual, I'll pass it to you right after this. The thing going back to the vision of Operation Rising Tide is like being able to being able to provide more opportunities for more magic for more people. That also includes being able to give people the opportunity to lead something, right? So if we have 10 events and the same 2 people are leading like 7 of those events or 6 of those events, like maybe scale back to 3 so that we can free up 7 events for 7 or 14 other people to be able to lead something, right? So it's not necessarily like frequency, it's just like the opportunities. Does that make sense? Anyway, Casual, what were you saying?
Yeah, it's actually another a thing that we're talking about kind of just at the end of Raid, and it happens to be relevant now when we're talking about, hey, there's some events that maybe there will be some overlap, and especially with these 2 sets of twice a week primetime things. Um, a very nice problem that we have now structurally as a Discord server is we could use, I'm thinking, maybe 2 more voice chat channels. I think, if we've got raid going on, obviously we need our comms real nice and clear, real nice and open. We're doing our thing. If there's another event that, has a half hour overlap, whatever, they need a voice chat. Yeah, that's another event space for them. And then also, even if there's not another event going on, sometimes, hey, there's just 2 things going on. There's just 2 groups of people, and they're, oh, we're doing our roulettes and we're doing our fishing, we're doing whatever. It's maybe it wasn't so much the case a few months ago, but we got a lot of activity. Look at all the people we got here.
Yeah,
I think we can have more than one conversation at the same time. Isn't that nice?
exactly. And Casual, it's a perfect example. I know that it's not going to be smooth sailing. I think that would be boring, to be honest, right? So if we have to figure out these things, like adding another Discord voice chat, we will figure it out as we go. Again, we're going to take the Scions approach of like, there is a way. We will figure it out, right? There's so many options, but I think the magic is everyone working together to be resourceful and flexible and open and figuring it out. Return to the waking sand. So yeah, sounds good. So like as these things come up, that's what the Rising Tide chat channel is for, right? Like let's all just talk about the logistics, right? Like if you want to brainstorm, if you want to suggest having a second Discord voice chat channel, like those things, like let us know. Otherwise, we don't know how to contribute and fix, right? Sounds good? Does anyone else have any other
Sounds good.
questions before we turn it over to brainstorm
You can
time?
expect us to see all the problems, so more eyes are better. Like, that's math. Like, if you see a problem that you think is a problem, let us know. Maybe we didn't see it at first. Like, I tell Heather all the time that we should pull out of the group, and she just ignores me. But eventually, one of these days, she's gonna see that I was right, and she's gonna flip them out.
Yeah,
I
just
just
let
need
us
the rest of
know.
you to say it too.
I have one question. I
Yeah.
know I might have missed if it was answered earlier, but I know there's like an RSVP thing, which is probably very useful on them, but is it a requirement, or is it if you're, say, unsure if you're going to be able to attend an event that night or not, is it okay if it turns out you are free to join it even if you didn't RSVP?
Okay, very
In
good.
general, sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
take
go.
that.
Avi, go.
Yeah, in general, yeah, we're super flexible. So, with things that do not have defined player counts, it's obviously, people can come and go. So, for example, this RP class thing that's happening tomorrow, uh, if somebody, can show up, awesome, just fit them in. That's more people, more the merrier, right? Um, but if it's something like an extreme and you've like signed up for it, you're kind of like signing up for a spot. There's not going to be that many of that type of thing because I feel like we're aiming more for broadly applicable events, but it does kind of vary, I guess. So if you have something where it's like you need to have signed up because we need X number of people, or we need partners, or we need teams, like, well, that's, obviously you're going to need to be there if you signed up for it. But a lot of things will also be very flexible, where it's like sign up, and then if you can or can't make it, we're happy to have you if you show up. If not, no big deal. And the Apollo bot actually has an option for like tentative. So most of the events will have that option. Yeah, Heather's showing it. So
Okay.
yeah, if it's like fishing or whatever, we're just all going ocean fishing. That's like a flexible player count type activity. Sure, show up tentative, and then if you can't make it, we're sorry to not have you, but we'll be fine.
Yeah, I will say, just as a courtesy, if possible, RSVP, right? Like, if you think you can go, but you're not sure, we will make sure to include tentative so that there's some kind of wait list or, a tentative list. Obviously, if you can go, RSVP. But, as someone who's going to be leading the event, it is really gives you peace of mind to have some kind of expectation of how many people are going to be there, right? So just
Yeah, because like, there's no point in me showing up tomorrow night
Yeah.
at 7 p.m. my time if nobody's gonna be there.
exactly, right? So I know like life happens and all of that, but we will make sure to include a tentative option so that for those of you who are not sure but you're showing interest and you just have to like check, then that's what this is for. But no hard feelings. Same with Marky Mark, like real life takes precedent. If you have to step away, if you can't, something comes up, that's fine. But I feel like by the time you get to the point where an event is official, you've obviously generated enough interest where that a certain number of people wanted to make this event happen, so they will be there.
A little bit of personal experience to share. I used to run card game tournaments. My old job was I ran like Magic the Gathering events, and that was a constant struggle that we had. Was you would like put an event on the calendar, and then you had no clue how many people were going to show up, how much product you needed, like because these things require money, they require like play space, like it was really like a struggle. So then eventually the solution we had was have people tell you if they're going to show up. Like we would have wait lists, we would have sign-ups, and then it became very clear that if somebody wasn't going to show, well, you could give their spot to somebody else, and there were always people on wait lists. So yeah, definitely a good problem to have if you have enough interest that you can have people plus a wait list and be flexible with times. Like that's awesome, and it also helps the person running the event so they don't feel like they're left high and dry if nobody shows. So yeah, gauging interest first, I think, is the best way to go.
Yeah, and if you need to cap events for whatever reason, right? Like if you, I don't know, if you're doing a 8-person, like if you're doing an 8-person raid thing and there's only 8 spots, that's fine. Like we can add a cap and then we'll put a wait list if people need to sub in and out and all that. Any other chats, questions?
Yeah,
All
where
right.
do babies come from?
So here's what we're going to do for, I'm going to say the next 15 minutes. We can do brainstorm. So we can do discussion. We can, whatever. I'm giving the floor to all of you guys. So whatever you want to talk about, it's all up to you. If you want to gauge interest for a thing right now, here's your chance while everyone's here. Also, you can again type in the text chat if you'd rather do that, and we can read it out. Fevra is suggesting a triple triad tournament.
I definitely would be down to help co-lead on a triple triad thing because I'm both very invested and kind of ties into my card game player past.
You know, I mean, triple triad tournament, one thing, but like a triple triad tournament takes some buy-in to triple triad. I mean, takes knowing how the game works, getting more than the starter deck cards that they just hand you. And the really cool thing about getting into having triple triad cards is triple triad cards come from basically every activity in the game. It's a really, really wonderful way to get you going to parts of the map that you didn't really go before and seeing stuff and talking to NPC. It gets you running dungeons, it gets you running trials, it gets you running raids. There's a lot of stuff in the game that triple triad motivates you towards. So yeah, triple triad tournament, but then also, and I'd absolutely be interested in helping with this. Card hunting. Card hunting is that's a long-term project, and it is so much more fun when you've got some people with you, some friends to yap with. So
yeah, the triple triad journey, because when I was like a sprout, I was like, oh, there's this cool card game in the game, let me play this. And then somebody told me there was a mount if you got the first X number or whatever it is, and I was like, cool, I'll get that. And then now I have like on my phone I have a checklist, and it's like the last 80 so cards I need to get the mount. And it's like, dude, some of them are from Boja, some of them are from Extreme Trials, some of them are from, I have to like do something to unlock an NPC who I then have to get the card from. Yeah.
It's like Yoshi being knows that we're chasing after that mount because every patch that comes out has like 2 or 3 extra cards that are needed to get that mount. So
Well, the mount is stuck with just up to Shadowbringers, but the new cards count towards the achievements, which I also want to get, and that's so annoying. Like, so yeah, it's an endless journey.
Really quick, Cirilla's asking, for this Discord channel, do we want to stick mainly with 14? I imagine as we grow, expand, we can include other games like Yakuza or other Final Fantasy games. So the reason why we focus on 14 is because it's an MMO. Like, literally, we can do this. We can't do this for, like, other games, right? So that's why it's a really cool way for us to be able to do something together, right? Like an activity, even though we're all over the world, different time zones, stuff like that. But to schedule events as part of Operation Rising Tide that are about other video games, 1000%. I just finally got the pre-order for Pirate Yakuza. I haven't played the demo yet, but like if we want to just take a night and talk about the entire Yakuza series or the Final Fantasy series, or you guys are into Monster Hunter or whatever, yes. If you want to take
I
the
was
lead
gonna
to do some kind of discussion, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say Monster Hunter is a really good option. I'm not gonna be able to get the game on launch because I don't have hardware that can run it. But that is also a cooperative, team-based game with like endless replayability. So forming like hunting teams, if anybody's interested in Monster Hunter, that would be perfect for this kind of project. And again, it can scale. If you have 16 people sign up, well, that's 4 hunt teams. So perfect example. Yeah.
Kane has asked for event. Can I make for other game? I plan to do Monster Hunter Wilder World. Yeah, so yes, totally, right? If you are not sure, right? So right now you're asking here in the lobby. If you're not sure, that's where the idea bucket happens, right? So like after this call, if you're like, I want to do this game, whatever game it is, go into the ideas bucket, see if anyone else is interested. From there, you can turn it into a post, continue the conversation, flesh it out, boom, you have an event.
And also, other stuff you suggested was just like discussions about other games, because there's games you can't play together, but people have played them and want to talk about them. Single player games or in person games, board games. Like there can be just like events, quote unquote, that are just like an excuse to talk to people about things you're passionate about. That's perfectly fine too. It doesn't have to be like a scheduled date and time. It's just we're gonna have this thread together to talk about things, and it doesn't have to go past that. So, also a great idea.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, because Tom and I have quite the to-do list when it comes to 14 and streaming and stuff. So that's kind of like separate. And this is a huge reason why I'm doing Operation Rising Tide, is because it was really hard for me to split my brain in terms of like what we have to do for streaming and videos. And then like now, if I'm focusing on this, I can't steer the ship, right? But now I feel like both things can happen at the same time. We will be looking at the Google Calendar as to when we're going to be doing MSQ discussions and streams and stuff like that. So this is it. Under the Rising Tide pinned channel, I will pin things here. I will post things in here that are referenced, right? So you can easily find what you need to find. But here is the Google Calendar. Once you click this, this will be the master calendar. Again, to RSVP, you're going to go to the events channel, and each event will have its own RSVP. You don't RSVP on the Google Calendar. Use this channel. But if you're looking, we will also use the Google Calendar as a reference to pick stream times, so that we're also not overlapping. Cool. Sweet. Any other questions, ideas, brainstorming you want to do? So everyone's good? We can totally sign off. We're done. I don't want to keep you guys.
Well, this type of discussion can continue in that Rising Tide chat channel.
Yep.
So even if it's not like ideas that are formed, if it's any discussion about the project, that's where that can go. And then if you have ideas, well, put them in the bucket or take them out into a thread if you're getting started on them. So this is the prototype of that type of discussion. So you're already on the right track.
Yeah, and like it doesn't have to
show
go.
everybody where the idea bucket is again, so they know.
Yeah, the idea bucket is, if you go to we have this Operation Rising Tide category of Discord channels, right? So in the forum, there is the idea bucket. This is where, like, if you're trying to gauge interest, start here. If based on the town hall, based on discussions, if you already know that there's interest, then just start a card or a post, Like, just start the post. If you know, like, we've been talking about fishing, like, I mean, there already is a fishing one, but whatever, Monster Hunter, something, like, just start it, because there's enough interest, right? And then that way you've already, like, kind of passed that initial gauging interest phase, so you can just start the card.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry I keep like talking, but one thing we had on the
Shut
agenda.
up, Jesus.
Yeah, one thing we had on the agenda that we forgot to bring up was that the point of the 6 week time frame is not to like force everybody to like squeeze everything into 6 weeks, or to say like this can only happen for 6 weeks. This is stuff that we would like everybody to kind of continue into the future, and just like if you're forming memories and making groups and doing things that you're passionate about, that's awesome, continue it. But
Yeah.
the 6 weeks is basically like a trial period to be like, look, you're not committing to forever. If you're like, okay, I haven't run an event before, I'm willing to try it, it's only 1 week, or it's only 1 month, or it's only 6 weeks, or any time period you choose to commit to, it's like you're not committing to forever. You don't have to run this thing forever. And I think that's a little bit more freeing for somebody who doesn't want to lock themselves in. So it's 6 weeks, but it's not only 6 weeks, if that makes sense.
Yes. And it also was like, for me personally, was like, I don't even know if you guys are into this, right? So that was also another reason. But the other thing is, what I plan to do is to do a town hall part 3 weeks in, right? We'll do a progress check and just see, like, maybe we just keep going, right? But like, we'll reevaluate, we'll see how it's all going, and we'll just see. Cool. So the last thing I want to just throw out there is, if anyone wants to be a part of the historian initiative, I'd really like you'd work very closely with me. It is a very important aspect of this, so we could talk about it, but I definitely want to try that is very important, right? And I don't want it to be like, oh my god, it sounds like a lot of work. Many hands make light work, right? So it could be a committee. It doesn't have to be 1 or 2 people, if but whatever. If you're interested in that, please let me know. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, Heather. For the 6 weeks, you want me to start from like this upcoming Monday, or you want to be like whatever after this, or just
Well,
like
it
starting
officially kicks off like Sunday, but whatever. Just, it's like, starting now to the end of March. And in terms of 6 weeks, again, it's just a guideline, right, of this whole operation thing. And after the end of March, we will definitely reevaluate, right? Like, we'll have another town hall part 4 and figure out like what went well, what do we need to improve, and then we'll see how we can move forward for quarter 2. Sound good?
Cool. And for the pictures, or quote unquote historian, I'd rather be journalist. But anyway, for those pictures and everything, so you want us to just like archive it in the post thread, or you want to put it in the like the whatever it is, the whiteboard thing? We haven't been used that for a while.
Yeah, so I made a new channel today. This is the Rising Tide Journal, right? So each post, like, there will be a post for every event that happens. And this is where you can like see, okay, so here's a perfect example. Tin made a post for our town hall. She wrote everyone who was in attendance. We've got screenshots, and then all of you guys who are all here can add your own screenshots here. You can add your thoughts. You can add, even if it's something as simple as like, this was fun, or like, I don't know, I'm really excited about this, or I'm nervous, or whatever. Just something, right? Because I think like when we vocalize how we're feeling, someone else can connect with that. and it gives more meaning to your own experience, right? So that's why I think the documentation and the reflection part is like so important. And it also lets me know, right, where I can come up with these ideas like Operation Rising Tide. I would not come up with any of this if I don't get the feedback from you guys, right? So that's why it's really important. So this is where you're going to do it. There's a dedicated channel under the Operation Rising Tide list. Boom, right here, Rising Tide Journal. And it's there's no right or wrong way. If you want to have like one card for Sprout Ultimate Legend, and then it's just an ongoing thing, or if you want to create multiple cards for every week that you guys do this, or one for Group A and one for Group B, however you want. But here in the example entry, there is a list of prompts to get you to share something, right? Like leaders, hopefully you can say something, but also participants, like please share what you thought was fun. I don't know. I just think it makes everything more meaningful. Cool. Anybody else?
Kind of my vision for how I think it would go down is everybody who participates or views or is like in any way connected to the event is who's filling that thread with all the stuff, right? So there's like screenshots, there's write-ups, there's maybe like stream clips, like, you know, any sort of media or thing that you can come up with to post, just dump it in there. And don't even think about like, is this good? Is this edited? Like, this is just your kind of like a candid shot of like what was happening. I took a screenshot because I thought it was important, and now it's here, right? And then the historian's job after the fact is to go through those and make something out of them. It's like a creative endeavor where you're like either making I don't even know, I'm not a creative person really, so I don't know what form that takes, but maybe it's like an Instagram post or a blog, or like, yeah, if somebody wanted to like run a blog and just like every week kind of recap what went down, that would be awesome. That would be a historian type job. You know, if somebody wants to do the whiteboard, which we haven't really done in a bit, but that was a great idea, you know. Yeah, or Heather's highlighting the podcast, like any sort of thing that you can take charge on. Like historian is a creative position, is what I'm kind of getting at, is like the stuff is provided by us, but then you curate it and transform it into something that is like shareable and meaningful.
Yeah, and then like, come like November, December, we'll compile them all together and put them into a physical book that will charge you $700 for. That only cost us, $20 to make, and we'll just pocket the rest of it. You guys can suck it.
So like I would be part of this committee, right? We could talk. You want to do YouTube videos, like we could. I'm not even kidding about the podcast. Like if you guys want to do I could record your Warrior of Light in the green screen room in the Free Company house, and we could like take the screenshots you guys put in the post. There's so many ways we could do it, and it sounds all fun. There's no right or wrong. But if that is something that you're interested in, please let me know. Sweet. So here's the last call. Anybody questions, ideas? If you want to gauge interest, now's the time.
How many people are interested in sightseeing logs?
Oh, hand up.
Oh yeah, hand up.
Yeah,
here too.
I am.
Yeah, me for sure. I have basically none. So
Yeah, I've done all the Realm Reborn ones. Doing the Realm Reborn ones isn't really feasible in a single session. You probably touch on a few of them, but they're just kind of crazy around the clock. But all
with the weather and requirements.
Yeah, it's like it'll be literally. I found a good like resource app. It'll be literally like 8 real life hours from now. You'll be able to get this one. So obviously that's not one. But all the other ones, the requirements are much less stringent, so they probably meet more feasible. But maybe touch upon a Realm Reborn ones if they happen to be there. I've tried to do it with my friends. It is chaotic because I'll be for the Realm Reborn ones because I'll be watching the thing and I'll be like, we have to go here right now when we only have 15 minutes and there's a parkour part, and it's just so it could be chaotic. But the other ones would probably be way more chill.
But not only is a Realm Reborn sightseeing chaotic, because of the rarity of windows and the parkour or whatever, there are 80 of them, and you have to do the first 20 before you're allowed to do the rest of them.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
doing an event
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
nuts.
there are a lot of those sightseeing log entries that, like, well, if you haven't already put in time on the first 20, which those aren't any easier, those aren't any more common, then like, oh well, there's
That's
one up.
it,
You're
though.
locked out of it.
I remember
There's
the
a
day.
reason they
That's
don't
it,
do it like
though.
that anymore.
Oh,
There was a lot of time between Around Reborn and Heaven's Word. And I mean a lot of time that we had to just sit around and wait for those stupid spots. So when we think about
Yeah.
it that way, it's a little bit more forgiving. But yeah, no, they've moved in a lot of seasons.
Yeah, it seemed like it was designed as content that people would work on over like years,
Yeah.
and then so it wasn't like meant to be bingeable, but now like we kind of want it to be. So
No, yeah, I remember. Oh, I'm very aware of the first 20 because I thought there was only 20. Worked on it over a few weeks because I wanted to get them done. And then it's like, congrats, your reward is 60 more.
yeah, this is the first I'm hearing about
Your homework is more homework. Yeah.
I think it literally took a couple of years before I went back and did them.
For all the expansions, though, absolutely, yeah, it's a tour of Eorzea is a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more
more
feasible
practical.
for post Realm Reborn ones. Because there's some, like, it's also cool places to take screenshots and stuff.
And there's still some jumping puzzles. I mean, there's.
Oh yeah, if you want to get the
there's still some
Kugane
stuff
Tower
for
one,
people to do.
that would
Yep.
almost have to be a combination where it's like the last one where it's like, okay, let's see you can climb Kugane Tower. I've done it a few times, but it's like I tried for like a few years on occasion where I'd be like, I'll try
I
this
couldn't
again.
even get
before
on
I-
that whole house of the roof, so I'm not going to get on Kugane's house. I
this
accepted
is,
that.
this is what I was saying about like interconnectedness, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
first
Yeah.
of all, you need people to be able to climb the tower. Then you
Yeah.
need the sightseeing log people to be involved. Then you need somebody from the Blue Mage group to learn self destruct, Then you guys can all get raised on top of the lamppost or whatever. So,
My friend literally picked up Blue Mage and and learned self destruct, and I literally dragged him up the tower over to Tricky Jump so he could get the log. I'm willing to do the same for anyone else who has Blue Mage.
The Blue Mage groups are those guys that hit PVC pipes and don't talk, right?
yeah,
Is that-
Blue Mage group. The event that I am gonna take charge on first is the class like 101s, like teaching people the basics of playing a class, because that's just something I really enjoy and value. And I've already helped a couple of you guys, privately that have reached out to me. But the vision that I kind of have is that maybe I'll run the first one and kind of like demo how it can be done and like give good ideas, because like I have a bit of a teaching background, so like ways that you can teach that are helpful, and then once people have seen that, I would love it if other people kind of took charge with the jobs that they know best, because like I know every job, but I don't know every job to 100% efficiency, so yeah, it would be really cool if other people were willing to collaborate with me on that, just because everybody wants to have an opportunity to show off the thing that they know, so I'll probably pick a job. I don't know which one, and then it's just a baby idea at this point, but I can get it fully formed.
Three things I want to talk about based off of what Maple brought up and you, Avi, as well. So when you plan your event, make sure to have some kind of agenda, right? So if that is like, hey, we're gonna work on Heaven's Ward sightseeing log, then your agenda could be, we're gonna do this for 2 hours and we'll just get as far as we get. Or it could be, hey, we're gonna work on the first 20 things or something like that. Have some kind of structure. The other thing is, please make sure that if there are any requirements needed, that you specify it in the event, so that when people go, they can make sure to unlock the thing, or whatever, they can come prepared to be able to participate in the event. And then lastly, if you miss an event, right? So obviously talking about doing a class 101 and say the first class he puts on is your class, but for some reason you can't make it, that doesn't mean that this event will be gone forever. maybe he'd be willing to run it again, or somebody else can run it. I keep talking about this 6-week thing as if like, oh, I don't know if you guys are on board. Based off of the conversation here, I'm going to go ahead and guess you guys are on board. So I feel like this will continue past the 6 weeks, right? So if you can't make it, like, you could totally do it again, right? Like if we just have to run a second version of the same event, we can do that.
Well, also a lot of content is just very recyclable in that sense. Like I've probably run the same mount farms for,
Yeah.
40 or 50 people, over the course of my time playing this game. Can't tell you how many times I've done Thornton Extreme or whatever, So, yeah, it's definitely not a problem to go back and like if there's people who are at an earlier stage, I'm happy to help them, do the same thing over and over again. That's what we signed up for. So
Yeah.
we're playing an MMO. It's not like we shy away from repetitive tasks.
I don't imagine there's gonna be too many people pitching an event. They're like, well, I'm only willing to do this once.
Yeah.
Only once ever. There will be room. I mean, if there's enough demand, then like yeah, reruns. Let's
Totally.
let's do this
Exactly.
forever.
Reruns. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good way to put
Heather, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I think there's interest.
it. Yay! I really didn't know. Like, I'm serious. I was like, Tom, I don't know. He's like, just do it. And I'm glad.
I told you
I'm
there'd
so
be
happy.
interest from day one.
I can understand being hesitant, but after you got the forum stuff up and it exploded, I think you should have had a little faith in yourself and your spouse.
Well, and that's kind of the trick, right? A lot of times, it's generally in communities, the barrier to pitching and organizing an event is like a clear and appropriate pathway to doing that, to initiating that. It's not a lot of communities where you're like, oh, well, I'm just DM them out and say, hey, make an event for me in the event tab.
Right.
Is that gonna work? Do I actually have that kind of relationship with
It's
the
a big
people who
leap.
can do
Yeah.
stuff? Am I
Yeah.
annoying people? So, I mean, yeah, absolutely huge credit for, set up the circumstances by which everyone can understand. Yeah, that thing that I think would be fun to do with a group, I'm allowed. Like, I have permission and I don't have to guess how to accomplish getting that set up. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's all a lot of people.
Taking the first step is really hard. So I know that a lot of people are going to wait until the first wave of events happens and they kind of see the feedback and like see that people are showing up because it's scary. Like I understand the fear of like putting yourself out there and then just getting like dunked on if nobody shows up. That feels awful, right? But like once we get a wave of things happening and people are showing up and participating and it's very clear that everybody's having a good time, I think more people will jump on the wave, so to speak. So
Yeah, and then also this is not, if you don't want to lead, like if you have no interest in leading, that's cool too. So participation is huge, right? Like even if you just show up to the things and that is the extent of your involvement, that's awesome as well, right? Like the point is that Heather Just Play is going to be putting on events that would not happen if not for you guys. And it's awesome that we can now offer them because all of you will be getting involved. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who aren't here right now in this meeting going to be participating. I'm gauging interest also based off of the message I get off of YouTube. So, I just think it'll be fun. I think we'll see some people who haven't been as active before, which is also something I'm really excited about. I want to give like opportunities for people to connect with something, and that's why the variety part is also a big thing for me. So, aww, you could have said that in the voice chat, Tom.
I didn't want to interrupt everybody. I'm a little shy.
Yeah, he's not comfortable being in the YouTube video.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Oh man. Yeah, so
I
if you
mean,
guys
for
didn't see
free.
it, I posted in the feed and stories like Tom's newest video is about something about podcast, like misconceptions about podcasting, and I was watching it and I was like, oh my god, we should totally have a podcast where all you guys can, we can talk about stuff. And then I was like, okay, this is my ADHD squirrel brain that's like, we should do this. I'm open to that if the historian committee wants to figure that out. But the point is that, like, there's no right or wrong. We can do all the things as long as we, do it together, and we'll figure it out together. All right, guys, we're at the top of the hour, so I think I'm going to call it. Here's where we can continue the conversation. In the Operation Rising Tide category of channels, you've got all these things here. If there's something else that can make this whole experience and project more streamlined, easier, whatever, let me know, right? Because you guys are on the other end. So if there's like some kind of friction point, like, let's address it, but I won't know unless you let me know. And then, yeah. So, like, we can start now, right? Like, we don't have to wait for Sunday. So if you want to start scheduling events, gauging interests, you could start right now. Screenshot while we're all in the basement. We're going to take a screenshot while we're here in the mess hall, but I'm going to log off of this before I do that. One thing, I took a screenshot in Game of Town Hall. Yeah. Are you asking, like, in general, Maple, or just, like, right now? Like, you totally take screenshots of, like, anything. I want you to, actually, is... Last call.
Speakers line up in front of the other yes.
Line up before the podium. Cool. And then Tom started 5.4, has been making a lot of progress. I need to put it somewhere where our MSQ and raids and... Oh, you know what? That was in the... See, everything is, like, in a million places. This is why I need a pin thing. But
Someone's greeted Lucy so they can be in it too.
yeah. We'll do a MSQ discussion pretty soon. Otherwise, anything else? Last call, questions, comments, discussions, anything? Okay. So, again, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Just thank you. I have so many feelings. I hope you can recognize I'm leading by example. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, right? And again, like, I didn't know if this was going to take, and as you can see, it is taking. You are responding to it. So this same hesitation, fear, feeling is something that you might be feeling when you're thinking about, I know what it's like to be really excited about something and not be able to share it with anybody, right? Or worse, have someone make fun of the thing that you're really excited about. And I think what's really special about this group is that, like, we're all nerds and we're all really excited about the things that we nerd out about, and that's kind of the thing that we have in common. So I'm excited that you're all on board, and I hope that this Operation Rising Tide is a chance for you to share your passion about the thing that you are super nerdy about. And I can't wait to see what you guys all come up with. So thank you so much.
Thank you
A couple
all.
of people asked about impromptu streams, if there will be any more of those.
Was that to you or to me or to us?
Yes.
It was in the chat, yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, babe? I'm down. Are you?
No, they're really fun, and I mean sometimes like just depending on my energy level that day, it's like fun to be on camera or not. But you have much more like you can vibe on camera playing games for a lot longer.
Yeah.
I
So
think that's been something really cool about the dynamic that you have. That like yeah, it's just because doesn't want to be on camera entertaining talking to the microphone, it doesn't mean y'all can't stream. And that's
Yeah,
neat.
exactly.
yeah. So the answer is yes. I think especially now that this is going to be kicking off, there was definitely a part of me that was like, well, if I stream, then no event is happening, right? And I get again the overlap, but I'm really excited for it to feel like this is a ship where everyone is working on it, right? That the metaphor of like, yes, I'm the captain, but you guys are all like, we're all in this together and everyone has something to do, feels very liberating. Like I'm excited. I feel like we're going to get so much done. I'm so excited. I'm just really looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are all too. Swab the poop deck.
Well,
Very
also,
important job.
I think this is a good opportunity for you in the sense that, like, if there's an event going on that you want to participate in, you can stream that. Like, I'm sure everybody who participates would be cool with that. Like, it doesn't have to be something that you plan ahead of time. It's almost like there's opportunities for content just being made for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's a Saturday and there's like a fishing event going on and you're like, cool, I'm going to turn
This
the
will be the
stream on while
thing.
I do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just you spontaneously participating in a thing, and everybody would really enjoy that. So, yeah, anything that you show up to, I'm sure people would love to see it on stream.
And what a special thing for like newbies to see, right? Like how open this community is, and how I don't know what the word is, but I think it's special that the members have so much freedom, right, to run things. Like I think that's a really cool. I think that's a unique thing. So yeah, I'm excited to highlight it. Cool. All right, guys. I'm going to end it. Thank you so much for spending your Valentine's Day with all of us. I'm really looking forward to the next 6 weeks. And yeah, so thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you know where to continue the conversation. But thank you again. Happy Chocolate Day. Happy Valentine's Day. All right, I'm going to end the recording. And I'm going to end the recording. I'm going to jump out of here and jump in game. So thanks again, everybody. You're awesome. Bye.
That was awesome. Thank you.